Welcome back on our channel Diaspora UA, and we have our friend today from Kentucky, Geirman Prostov. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Well, thank you, Bogdan, again. It was a pleasure to see you again after a conversation we have right in front of White House. It was almost 3 days ago. And today you invite me again, so I really appreciate take opportunity and speak about several issues, just kind of like post our Lend-Lease meeting in White House. I want to also touch and give brief updates what's going on in engagement or communication with Victoria Spartz. We got several response, but and then some also my kind of wish how we can enhance and help the Ukrainian, especially it's a really difficult time. Just in not only winter, but it's a kind of approaching some type of aggression or second wave of aggression on Eastern Front in Ukraine, and that would kind of our agenda might be going to be today. So
as we promised for our viewers, maybe we should start from updates from Victoria Spartz, if you don't mind.
Well, absolutely. Since we met last time in February 4th, and it was almost 12 days ago, what basically happened, I write on behalf of people and Bogdan and people who stand in White House on January 29th, previous session we have 2 weeks ago, and sent him her letter in email after I talked to her, and we have also a really brief conversation how she responds on our question why a release has not been activated yet, and how she can go to help us. So in follow this conversation on February 4th, I sent the email to her aide in asking what would be planned, because in her conversation she mentions that she's going to participate in task force in Congress, meaning it will be some kind of some committee to facilitate task force for release a Lend-Lease, something else on her agenda, such as budget cut and couple other items. So what when I sent her email, I asked for if any plans she going to literally she going to be conducted to conduct this type of task force, and ask if any specific resolution or what would be her detailed executable plan. And since I sent this email, her particular chief of staff, Liz, reply me and say she going to refer us to her political advisor. And that was actually happened literally on a Monday, and we tried to reach her yesterday and today, and that kind of a situation in specifically in idling mode. So bottom line, we have start engaging process to get advice, a political advisor who might be advise us what would be next action going to be, how we can approach or for this Lend-Lease release request from Congress on facilitated by her. So that kind of update for Victoria Spartz. My expectation that should be a little bit more active a plan or active measurement she should be taken. But as we know, it's just first of all, it's bureaucratic stuff. I mean, bureaucratic process needs to be take place. But what I think should be happen if we're going to have a little problem, or what I call problem, a little delay and kind of like take too long, we might to go to approach either Kevin McCarthy or some other people who are more active in this type of push and release or on final stage of activation or a final stage of kind of like facilitation. Facilitation, I mean, release have, Lend-Lease have to be open and started. And that was my update with Victoria Spartz. Like I say, just the process started, but obviously it's not, it's expectation, our expectation, it should be have a much faster traction, much better tractions than what we have right now. And that was kind of basic updates.
Okay, I was watching some news, and Polish President Duda, he said West, United States, all country, immediately not gonna send weapons, heavy artillery. Probably Ukraine can lose. And if it was like ordinary politician or something, we could dismiss it, but this is president of Poland. Also, we know there was hearing in Senate. They sent resolution about genocide in Ukraine. We don't know how far it's gonna go. So senators knows the situation in Ukraine, that people are suffering, people are actually, it's genocide. They've been killed.
Right.
And nobody does anything. We know also about hearing in Senate today that Ukraine need weapons, and it's in interest of West. But why nobody talks about Lend-Lease? We have already approved and signed by President Biden Lend-Lease for Ukraine, signed in May 9 last year. They all forgot about this. How would you interpret this?
Well, let's go back to question by question. And first, I want to get a little bit my clarification or my thoughts about Andrew Duda, Polish president, warning. And it's really, obviously, it's very concerning. It's extremely concerning because, yes, if United States or other allies, European country, does not bump an increase weaponry supply, especially like artillery shell for 555 millimeter howitzers, obviously ammunition for a machine gun, like HIMARS, even 76-mile range, or not 76, like a current range of people say it's a shell, but it's a rocket propeller shell. So that would be probably Ukraine will have some limited supply or run out of ammunition. I know, in fact, what basically happened. My previous business when I started working in IT was mostly shipping, and I know how airlines operate, and I know all the Galaxy 5 and Globemaster Boeing cargo airplane can deliver these weapons instantly. I mean, not instantly, like overnight. And that would only a last stand might be helpful if, but look like to me, Pentagon and especially with order with Biden can prevent this type of shortage, meaning sending maybe 20 or 5, 6 more airplane, very heavy Galaxy 5 airplane, which is able to take literally 100,000 pound or like 100,000 ton of ammunition and delivery overnight. It's like takes 6 hours with refuel, and that would can help Ukraine to get this shortage. But keep in mind that shortage weapons using on eastern front all the way from Kharkiv to Zaporozhye need more weapons, and that definitely will help but it's only like a little fraction what Ukraine needed, and that was definitely early warning because it doesn't. This weapon and ammunition doesn't appear overnight, meaning even its delivery have to deliver inside Poland, through the Poland, inside Ukraine, and distributed through like Western Ukraine to back to front line. And that was definitely concern, and I extremely worry about this type of shortage because they need weapons right now, especially defend all this escalation on the Eastern Front. Second question you mentioned about hearing in Senate about genocide, and that was extremely sensitive and extremely important topic for United States because, as you know, in the United States, not only support Israel for fight for independence, but also support Ukraine. And what's basically happened, and scale of war in Ukraine extremely extremely big, gigantics. I mean, it's all businesses, like literally, city have been wiped from face of earth, building destroyed, businesses destroyed. Everything was in a million people been have to flee in western part in Europe, in the United States. We have in Louisville itself, like around 200 people who fled from Ukraine since April, May, and even just arrived recently a couple months ago. And some of them just from different regions. And I know somebody flee Urpain, Bucha, and etc. So I talked to them and just literally. So that will have to be addressed, and Senate have to be just literally type of great degree where they condemn what's happened, Russian aggression in Ukraine. Have to be put some tough measurement for put this in history book, put this in perspectives, and it's just extremely events take, which is extremely have to be harmful for Ukrainian, and they have to be recognized everywhere. And nobody have to be just dealing, say okay. And what I agree with also with Maria Maksakova, no one have to be perform on behalf of Russia in some way in musical or academic theater in Europe. They should not welcome it, and not welcome not only business but the people who even like kind of try to facilitate some cultural exchange, because it's what Russian done for Ukraine, and that is this is important for Ukrainians to make sure that Holocaust been recognized, Holocaust been elevated for every state policies, and that have to be every country who willing to dealing with Russia have to ban any type of cultural exchange, trade relationship, anything have to be just stopped. And that's going to be one of proper measurement how to address the Holocaust. I don't know if I ask you, answer your question, but that's my personal opinion.
Very hard situation in front line in Ukraine. We had today one of the fighters, all this misinformation about Lend-Lease. They know about this. I mean, militaries in Ukraine and some of Ukrainian politicians. They say it's too expensive. Lend-Lease will be paid by generation of Ukrainians in the future. The same argument was in Russia. So Russian was saying the same thing. it will be too expensive for Ukraine, and Ukraine will pay for a generation. So these fighters, this hero said, if there will be no Lend-Lease, there will be nobody to pay for it. What would be your take on this situation?
First of all, my personal opinion, it's not true, and 100% not true. It's quite opposite. And I've been actually try to promote Lend-Lease almost like for every single Victory Day, and I don't want to mention Victory Day for whom, but in May 9 on my Facebook, I put like Lend-Lease program, and where actually Lend-Lease been delivering extremely big quantity. Like I don't even remember like a number, 60,000 trucks. Like maybe similar in from a United States to 3 nations, almost 4 nations was like major beneficiary for Lend-Lease back to World War II was United Kingdom, Soviet Union, China, and as few, I believe, several. They distribute through different countries like France. It's not only Soviet Union but in main two main area for entries weapons was through Arkhangelsk and also from Tehran or Caspian border. So there was 60,000 trucks, which Studebaker was like mounting on Katyusha been mounting on Studebaker. If Studebaker trucks was not delivered to Soviet Union, Stalin army, I call Red Army, has no chance to defeat Nazis, and all us artillery, I believe like howitzer 120 was delivered. All six different type of airplane been delivered. So what I try to say, that quantity was it's extremely enormous, and because it's like size of, and that help defeat Nazi. But go back to your point in what's happened now. It's possible. United States has all capability to deliver the same type of value as been delivery back to World War II. And today, what people got impression, it's not expensive. And I've been go back again for history. What basically have to pay for whatever been destroyed on World War II, it discount. Any weapons been used during 3 years or 4 years war, when they've been delivered and destroyed, it doesn't have to be paid. And the same rule apply for Lend-Lease, which had been signed in May last year. So that weapons have not been doesn't have to be paid. So it's definitely not expensive. Weapons been used and still remain can be paid, but there's no time frame set. So meaning it can be paid back in 100 years or can be paid in 200 years. So whatever, if going to be something going to delivery, and at this point, no even single bullet delivery, a lot have been delivered by DRO authority, which is like one of 5 different channels. But if they're going to, the United States, they're going to deliver any weapons, whatever going to be Abrams tank or M60 tank, which Korean War tank, which is a really good tank, any like howitzer are going to be delivered. Whatever remain can be spread in payment in the future, 100 years, 200 years. It doesn't have to be start pay anytime soon. So that's kind of what you say. It can because Ukraine, it doesn't cost zero till war ended, and we need 2 weapons now, and that would take advantage we have to have in order to defeat the Russian army. They pushed back to 1991 Ukrainian border, and Crimea have to be also liberated completely. So weapons need to know not only artillery. And like what I also promote, and I appreciate you give me time, because Lend-Lease is important, and I have been extremely thorough to know items, and I also, for my specifically professional, I work on ITAR. ITAR, it's like an international military trade. So I understand a little bit more background. So bottom line, we not only need tanks as much as we can get, but we also need drones. We have also like a Reaper, or the drone can be literally with the same weapons we call Hellfire surface to land weapons, which kill al-Baghdadi by President Trump. They're really effective weapons. They can be like a drone can be stay in the air like 48 hours. We need also a similar A-10 airplane, which is we call Warhawks, and that would also help, because every action like offense needs to be covered by aero support. We need to helicopter like a Huey or like Black Hawks or helicopter. But only things like they have to be trained for pilots have to train. So bottom line, this weapon need now. It doesn't cost Ukraine. It have to be delivered, and that would take time. And that would my answer for you, Bogdan. That needs to be, and people on front line understand what needs to be, what have to happen. They have to be, they have to have these weapons.
Absolutely, I agree. But the thing is, I have impression, as we know, this Lend-Lease Act is not very long document. It's 1.5 pages. And I'm sure you read it already, that the deadline is no later than 60 days after the date of the enactment of this act. The president shall establish an expedited procedure for delivery, basically approved May 9, 2022. Instead of this, President Biden asking Congress packages, 40 billion and so on. There was almost every 2 weeks, President Biden was asking for new packages. And we know from these packages, in the beginning, only 10% was going to Ukraine. Everything else was on all different programs, from climate change programs to COVID fight and so on. But I'm sure most of America, and I don't know the statistic, maybe 90+%, they're not aware of this. They think all these 40 billions went to Ukraine, all this next package, next every 2 weeks. And I remember in September, there was 1.1 billion left not used, and they were expiring, and senators was asking President Biden to use it for Ukraine. And President Biden just ignored it. Allegedly, they have no interest to run this law because they have this 80% leftovers for their own program. And in this case, we will have this war for a long time. I don't know, but I have impression like this. And some politician in Ukraine also corrupted. There's no secret. Government officials in Ukraine recently, they are under investigation because of corruption. They were doing their own thing. And Lend-Lease, it will be the answer, because United States has thousands of tanks, like 6,000 tanks previous generations. They're much better than Russian tanks anyway, and they decay in somewhere in a desert, in a storage, because it's too obsolete for United States Army, and what they're gonna do with it. So if this law was activated, it would benefit for Ukrainian people and American people. There will be no burden on the taxpayers, on the budget of United States, and it would help to win the war, probably. What do you think? Am I right, or is there any different explanation for the situation?
No, you absolutely right on the point. I mean, you extremely accurate, because we've been talking about it for a long time about Ukraine. We started with almost like last year with Maria Maksakova and also with Gary Taberka, who brings this attention and explain. Andrei Illarionov also start to break down to everything point and how much cost and what exactly needs to be done. And you're absolutely right. And back to my situation, what we done, and obviously, you know, I tried to go to in January 1st. I've been sick. Soon I got back to normal, and I stand every single time when I have ability in January 29 to defend a release. And I've just recently, 3 days ago, and February 12, I'm the really frozen rain. We stand with Yuri Podvalny and with other people, at least 10, 20 people. And I want to express myself, and release need to be immediately released. And you saw probably my particular post card that have to be immediate. So personally, I'm with you. I want to Lend-Lease release, yes, almost last. Also, I didn't mention then one of a point when we spoke with Victoria Spartz, we asked that a Lend-Lease have to be extended, and we request here, if anything going to be done today, first things need to be done, extended release for another 3 years. What I mean 3, because if for somehow we're going to a little bit longer, and after, I have no doubt, and Ukraine going to win this war, and they're going to liberate territory. They don't want any other territory, and that was every single action in Vladimir Zelensky and his Minister of Defense and Chief of Staff, Armed Force, shows they don't need any other land. They need to take their own land. You have to take your own land. And if this is going to be take longer, they need to weapons after war finished. They need to have additional weapons to defend any type of potential incursion back to from whatever left from Russia. This like a country. I don't know what's going to happen with Russia, but I hope it's going to be completely changed. I don't expect to have see Russia as a whole. So in order to prevent future action against any other enemy, potential, Ukraine needs additional weapons, and that Lend-Lease helps Ukraine to keep this type of armed force up to speed with most decent current weapons, and that release have to continue not only for next year, but it have to be extended at least for 3 years. And that's my opinion. And that is exactly what my position. And if we're talking about other situation with Biden is not my president, and I want to clear. But I don't want to get into political discussion on this issue. So obviously he's inept. He don't know what's going on. Situation with this Chinese balloon is like extremely upset for every American. It's extremely upsetting. So you ask me if he capable handling release, I say to you, no, I don't think so. So other option, we're talking about almost a couple of weeks ago, before even start, drove for 900 kilometers to Washington, D.C. We need to find other person who capable. And today, Kevin McCarthy went to southern border. He flew over a helicopter. He saw all this activity. And that was potential person who can help us to make release Lend-Lease. That's what, if you ask me what I should do, if Biden not capable, he's inept, he's not necessarily know how to handle the economy, and you understand what's food price and gasoline price, what inflation rate. But I don't want to go to this discussion. So we need to find alternative. An alternative might be somebody who stands for American first, who stands for understands and Ukraine have to win, and the Ukraine defend this peace. And if Ukraine somehow war going to be too long or fail, Taiwan going to be next. Chinese got message, Western world doesn't hold strong enough. And we have to continue this help supply weapons to Ukraine. You also mentioned about draw authority, and you say some particular funds not going to go to Ukraine. Military weapons, extremely small fraction what they need to. And like I say, that's the extreme answer. It's a Lend-Lease, doesn't have money. It's long it's ammunition, weapon, tank, artillery, machine guns, military vehicle, and that cannot be corrupted. They cannot just literally cannot take some really and sold for black market. And that was answer. But we need to find somebody who actually makes this happen, and that's my answer.
I agree, but who can help? In the meanwhile, when people go to White House under the rain, and I really appreciate everyone, and you also was there, cold, rain, but they come in driving, you drove so many hours to get there, and this is second times people get sick, I heard, after this, because it was extremely cold. And I just would like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for support of Ukrainian people. We heard from different sources that Ukrainian embassy sent in a letter to Ukrainian diaspora organization to discourage them, and she said that Lend-Lease is not a good law, it's not convenient for Ukraine, because some volunteers that she knows or they know, they were learning, studying this, making research, and this is not the same Lend-Lease that it was in Second World War, and there is some reason that more convenient for them to get packages, billions of dollars. And in the meanwhile, we're trying to fight and help Ukraine to defend the freedom of speech, expression, and so on. Appointed from government, Ukrainian government people trying to suppress freedom of speech and basic human rights in United States. For me, it's deeply concerning. I don't know if there's any agency or services who could prevent this, and I think it's really unacceptable, because Ukraine is fighting for freedom. Thousands of people dying, 100,000, 10 million already left Ukraine, refugees. And some people misinform diaspora that it's not good for Ukraine. So why Congress, US Congress made this law if it's not good? How would you comment this? I know you can criticize Ukrainian government. What do you think
Well, Bogdan, it's extremely solid concern, and I extremely emphasize with you. It's a little bit look like it's almost unknown situation, not unknown situation. Situations not easy to deal, and like I say, just let's just go step by go back again. First of all, I appreciate that you recognize somebody, not only me who stand for 3 days, but for 3 or 2 times on front White House. And I tell you, it's nothing compared with the Ukrainian soldier has experience every day in front line. It's like all this like 10 waves every day, all this Wagner group and as a shelling in the Russian troops, and nothing. It's just, believe me, I'm doing for my friend, I'm doing for who I know for 30 years, who've been canoeing neck to neck and competing in national team. I'm doing for them. It's nothing to just really, it's extremely I do for Ukraine, and I just things help Ukraine any possible way. And standing in White House was really honored to kind of defend Ukrainian independence and show them people actually care about. And this is the right things to do, and it's the American way to do. As what situation, how I look in situation with Ukrainian ambassador in the United States. And I'm not in nursery, and I'm not in to discuss what exactly she's doing. I don't know her well enough. I don't know what's really happened, but it's definitely concerning if she actually starts to discourage people like me and like Yuri and other people who stand in front at front of White House and support Lend-Lease release. It's just not Ukrainian, and it's definitely concerning me because I'm American and I want to. For 30 years, I live in the United States, and value to me extremely important. So if somebody inside your government tries to discourage people to defend independence and fight for freedom for Ukraine, I puzzling. I cannot tell. I don't know what answer. It's just like it's extremely unacceptable, and that's my personal. I don't know how a person can be in a present Ukrainian government who will try to discourage to defend Ukraine any possible way. And release, like I said, it's a perfect solution, a perfect answer for defense Ukraine to have enough weapons, and that which I talk too many times, and it's obvious. I left what I say. I left it up to Ukrainian to decide what, how dealing with your Ukrainian ambassador in United States. I didn't appoint her, and if I were in the shoes of Vladimir Zelensky, I probably fire her the next day. She will be gone. So that would, but I'm not Vladimir Zelensky. I appreciate you have Ukrainian has extremely brave president, and I cheer for him all the way since I actually donate some money. And next second, I receive things for him. So he extremely courage, extremely brave guy. So I trust him to dealing with his cabinet, and I don't want to interfere. It's just I'm not like wash my hand. It's just not my domain. I don't want to. That Ukrainian government official. It's Ukrainian government official. It's not American. What I can do, I will way how address this issue. It's through our government and elected official, and they have to be bring attentions and something not happening clear. It's not fair. It's not correct. It's not acceptable. And that's what my answer. How to dealing? You have to address to senator for your Congress and say that was something, and that's what kind of my direction how to deal with this situation. That was pretty much what I believe I can say as far as situation with some with your Ukrainian ambassador, not yours. It's the Ukrainian ambassador. I mean, you Ukrainian American, and that was a responsibility for Ukraine, not for United States.
Yes, of course. I know it's not very comfortable, but I just want to say that top politician, Ukrainian politicians, they say we don't need Lend-Lease because we're getting weapons through different programs. It's not enough, but maybe we'll use it, but it's not enough. And this is number 3, Podolyak. And number 2 is Yermak, who said the same thing. The first one who mentioned about Lend-Lease is not needed right now, of course, Oksana Markarova. So we see President Zelensky, he's a hero, and everyone respects him, but his politician, I'm not sure if they don't understand, either they are on the same page with Oksana Markarova, who is trying to suppress American citizen rights and constitution, or maybe they're just misinformed. I don't have this answer on this question, of course, but we know that Michael Pompeo, he is ex-secretary.
Right, the state secretary, and he also served and
yeah, he was the head of CIA, right?
CIA, right.
So in his interview, I noticed that they asked him question about Snowden. He's a traitor who escaped United States. He gave some secret to Russia. He went to Russia, right? And they asked him, is he deserve punishment? How would he punish Snowden? And what he said, he deserved the death sentence because he put in risk potentially American soldiers, American people, American as a state.
He's governor, used to be governor of Kansas, and then when obviously he Republicans, and he been served as the chairman of a Central Intelligence Agency, and then he actually been selected during Trump administration served as a Secretary of State. And what I want to say about my personal opinion for Edward Snowden. And Edward Snowden story or gala or whatever start with Obama administration. It just been Edward Snowden been like contractor in. I need to grab my. He was contractor for. Hold on a second. I need to put some.
Okay, no problem.
So he was contractor. He worked for CIA. Then he actually quit CIA and go back to contractor. And he worked on extremely secret location in Hawaii, where actually underground facility have a large number of computer, and they actually listening all devices, part of like NSA agency. So what basically happened, if people know and saw this movie, then he actually put a little chip in cubic Rubik and escaped and flew to Hong Kong and tried to disclose all this white surveillance program for every like United States government spy on every citizen. But besides this point, what basically happened, in my opinion, what basically happened, because I'm in IT, I do some IT security, and I understand some type of attack, security risk attack. What basically happened when Connect flight, he tried to fly from Hong Kong back to either a United States or back to different South American country. When he actually, and flight have connection to Moscow. He doesn't buy tickets to Moscow, but he flew through Moscow. And when State Department, when they find out on the third days, or maybe in third days after he explode and meet with some journalists in Hong Kong, I believe it's in Hong Kong, he explored, and everybody, United States government already knows that he is traitor. I mean, he's revealed this secret weapon called PRISM, the secret surveillance weapons. So basically, when he landed in Moscow, his passport been actually been suspended. So he cannot fly anymore, and he's stuck in Russia. And obviously, what's happened, he is stuck for first 7 days, but then for additional. And Putin grant him status legally, a temporary stay, and then he got extended for longer stay. But what basically happened after, because I believe what's basically happened after, Putin got this specifically designed by the U.S. government spy tools which can be affect your computer system. And I got literally, I saw after 2012, 2013, literally Russian intelligence agency got this particular tools and used by Putin administration for everyone who is not agreed. My computer been hacked a few times, and that only tools can be used by made by Americans. They don't. Chinese doesn't have before 2012. Chinese doesn't have these tools. They're not able to lock literally lock into your computer system through a remove connection or through internet, and Russian does. But when Snowden stayed for longer than 1 year in Russia, these tools become tools for Russian intelligence services, and that was true. This is what I want to tell about Snowden. Yes, and Mike Pompeo, correct. His trade secret for just what he been trade. Nobody say he been trade, but apparently, ask yourself a question: how in the world American citizen live in Moscow for since 2013? It's almost like 13 years, and have good protected life. What he trade in exchange for this good life? You can speculate, but obviously answer. He been trade some secrets and allowed him to stay in Russia for indefinite, and he able to bring his own girlfriend. He been married on her. So that was my takeover on Edward Snowden. Okay, and Mike Pompeo may be a little bit extreme. He says yes, he did resort a death penalty. I agree that the punishment have to be done, and there is no way, and this is why President Trump not pardoned him and not allowed go back to the United States. So if you're going to be go back anytime, Edward Snowden in the United States, he will face prosecution and he will face some criminal charges. And I think it's a relatively valid case.
Yes, but I just wanted to compare because we have to talk people should know the truth. That this potentially, nobody was killed because of his secret. He gave this secret to Russia, but weakened United States. And potentially it could lead to death. But Ukrainian politician who already participated in this corruption, they are suspected in corruption. But some of them, they found $1 million, $400,000. Because of this action, soldiers in front line in Ukraine, they didn't get these weapons. They didn't get protection. It leads to direct threat of national existence, Ukraine as a state, and lead to thousands and who knows how many casualties. Nobody was punished. I am proud to be Ukrainian. Right now I'm American citizen, but when I hear this, I feel ashamed.
People who depends on the frontline soldiers, I have my former national team member, youngest son, brother in Bakhmut. He got conscious, he recovering, and I know personally, and these people defend Ukrainian freedom, Ukrainian independence, fight aggression, and your government, Ukrainian government official start to corrupt and make money. It's not acceptable. I don't know how they live with this type of. So that was my answer. The moral dignity, integrity, it's just not there, and it's just difficult to justify what they've done and what they're doing. Not supply enough weapons to Ukrainian army, not help them to get right ammunition, got food supply, got rest, got rotation process. And that if they don't doing this right, it's not acceptable. And that's my answer.
And I agree with you. But we know that, as you mentioned, that soldiers, Ukrainian army fighting hard. And initially, Biden, the first response to war, when all leader in the whole world was already making speeches, and they were actually saying that they against Putin. Putin is a thug. He invaded Ukraine. Biden didn't talk about probably 12 hours since the beginning of this war, and he was calling Zeleensky and asking him to evacuate his family to United States. He offered him a flight and protection, and Zeleensky said no. And the same Ukrainian people also, they gonna fight till the end. And we know also there is another hero in Ukraine who respected in the whole world, and you know his name, General Valery Zaluzhny. Despite all of this lack of weaponry and ammunition and everything, he's basically fighting with army who has 20 times more supply and everything, equipment. He was able to push back. But right now he says we need ammunition, we need weaponry, and Lend-Lease would be the answer, of course. But I'm trying to say there is no only corruption in Ukraine, but people and heroes like him and other who oppose to all this corruption and all, I don't know, it looks for me like a plan to call Zelensky out from the country, and it will be chaotic. We know what happened in Afghanistan. The president disappeared and there was no any opposition against all this Taliban. So there is two forces, and Ukrainian people fight till the end, but corruption, they should be kicked out. And I am asking all diaspora Ukrainian politicians, some of them really corrupt, and they say don't go to meetings to White House, don't mention Lend-Lease. It was from this letter from ambassador. So don't trust them. We have to be on the right side of the history. And if you don't support Ukraine, there is a risk, as we know, Polish president said, Ukraine can be defeated. I think this is a good time to start participating and writing senator, congressman. We have website ленд-ліз where you can find the link to senator and congressman. Using zip code, you can find them easily and send a letter. We have also sample of the letter on our website, ленд-ліз
Wherever you are, and you live in the East Coast, you live in West Coast, you went in Midwest, any place, you can literally go to put your zip code and find who actually your representative in Congress, who is your congressman or congresswoman, or who your senator, and you can literally copy and paste and send this particular petition to support Lend-Lease. And that would, yes, if we're going back to Valery Zaluzhny, it's extremely brave general, and in Ukraine was happy and lucky to have them in the right place, because if he's not been talented and he has not been as a brave, it was Ukraine probably have a little chance to survive for first 3 weeks invasion. But what I have hope for Ukrainian people, even like let's say Andrew Duda, president of Poland, says, it's Ukraine getting a low shortage in inventory and weaponry, but I believe there's a lot of weapons still in place, but it's need to be delivered to frontline. And another things I just what missed opportunity going to be. I'm going to discuss what missed opportunity are going to be, and also talk about what my hope are going to be for Ukrainian people. And what missed opportunity are going to be, I'm just listening some conversation recently with Maria Maksakova. She makes some broadcast yesterday, and person was interviewing indicates that when Ukrainian Azov battalion been
they were surrendered.
Surrendered when in Mariupol they've been circled by Russian military. What Ukrainians should done, go to ask Moldova and like a hostage, like whatever going to, it's about 2,000 Russian troops in Prидnestrovia, and they should be exchanged, and that will should save battalion Azov battalion like army force or military people from being captured. But what I also says in Pridnestrovia, there is a lot of weaponry still remain from Soviet Union. If Moldova been like literally free from this Russian or whatever, like pro-Russian armed force, it's only like 2,000 people. It's just nothing. If it's like it can be been defeated for a couple of days by brave Ukrainian, kicks them out of Pridnestrovia, and takes this weaponry, all this like ammunition, a pile, which probably going to be also good enough for next several months for supply for military weapons. And that is another source of like a weaponry can have right away on Ukrainian fingertips. And that was another solution we might to have, just because it's a lot of like all this that just it's not brain. It's really it's only things that have to be a Moldovan government have to be asked for. But that would mean this opportunity Ukraine might be lost. But like I say, Estonian give everything almost last piece of artillery, 155.
Everything. Actually, they gave everything.
Everything what they have. Latvian collect new fundraising or for new drones, and Polish give all the tank. I mean, but like I say, we're dealing with Biden, and that's a problem. And that's for the United States, it's a problem, and we discussed there can be only two things. Even he can impeach and kick out of White House, but we don't have a good replacement. The change government, have to be reelected. A new person, either from Republican, more somebody who more adamant, who more fast on response, and that's a problem. So that was the option we have, and we can talk all day long on as far like Ukrainian corruption. I'm not a Ukrainian citizen. I completely sympathize with Ukrainian who brave people who standing up for freedom, who standing for independence. But that internal affair, corruption in Ukraine, it's internal affair. I cannot speculate. I cannot say it can change. It have to be changed internally, and that's the answer I have to just make sure that you understand. We cannot tolerate this no longer because it's definitely possess some security risk for Ukrainian, and also success in winning this war. And that's what you're right. That's a legitimate concern, but it has to be done internally. It's the United States cannot change corruption in Ukraine. United States, for is the present what we have, even cannot stop corruption for Biden administration. His son. Hunting Biden, completely corrupt. All this dealing with Burisma, all the dealing with Chinese government, this $3 million been transferred from Mayor of Lushkov's wife directly to Hunting Biden account in one of his company, and that was. But this topic too large. And I don't want to lose our focus on something which is literally not necessarily directly relevant. It's direct impact ability of Biden to react and activate Lend-Lease. And that's what we have to focus. How we can activate Lend-Lease. You're right. Have to be write letters to congressman, for senator. Have to be found somebody who capable to elevates this Lend-Lease issue on high level. And like I say, what we have literally, what I hope going to change if Congress controlled by Republicans start to address all this issue for audit, all this specifically support, military support, all this expenses, all this draw and money support to Ukraine, audit, make sure that they actually going to be right places, they're going to be specifically not lost or corrupt or give some corrupt politician. And this is what they have to do. And make sure then person able to elevate this in high level, address and literally start release and extended the release for another 3 or 4 years. Just make sure that Ukrainian after war have enough weapons to defeat themselves or defend themselves. And that was my point. And this is what I want to discuss.
I agree with you. We have a lot of questions more to answer, and we can go for a couple more days. But I think maybe we can reschedule those questions for another time. And I know that you help in Ukraine not just coming to rally to White House, but also you help in.
Like I say, my motivation, hopefully people understand. I might feel like I'm so I feel so shame to be born in country who invade you, and I feel that I cannot give good more enough to pay back enough for pay back for all people who lost everything, who lost life, apartment, children, husband, wife, and that's what my motivation. So what I do else to do, we participate in since April 2022. I have literally literally participate in a meeting in local community, as well as helping individual who came from Ukraine. And because I feel really close, like I said, I traveled to Ukraine in my sport career for 16 cities, starting from Ivano-Frankovsk all the way till Dnipropetrovsk, Zhytomyr, Kiev, and that's what I feel like it's my part of my a country I have to help. So I helping people individually. I help them also participate for food draw program we have in here in Louisville, and that was we ran almost 3 times this draw food program, which we package some dry food for Ukrainian and ship overseas. So every a month we have a place called Love for Hungry, and we go to Saturday and pack food for 2.5 hours, and that food goes to people who need food in Ukraine. It goes to some military people in Ukraine, and that I help as I can. I participate and I go to extra mile to help them any possible way.
And we really appreciate everything you do for Ukraine and for our viewers who can help your campaign raising money for Ukrainian. I'm showing your Facebook page if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yes. It happened last time, and we have in a couple days. People actually text me what's going on, and we're going to have this Saturday 10 o'clock help Ukrainian, and it's almost like if you scroll down, this is another support for. It was another session where we have tables and help support Ukraine. So that definitely was. A lot of people came volunteer like me. I'm not alone. I just don't focus on me. I feel obligated. I feel shame, and I have to help in any possible way to Ukraine. This is another also. This is what the food package looked like. It was just literally some you can. And that guy Dale, we're going to bring for him borscht. On Saturday, this, like I say, he want to test, and I also cook a lot of borscht, and I almost like I say, I feel like more Ukrainians than anybody else locally. So that was right, and a lot of people came. Just not me. I mean, I wish they have a little bit more active, and that. I from day one I helped as much as I can. Right, so that was one of right things to do. And as American, we have to help Ukraine in any possible way. And like I say, what I also suggest, for example, invite somebody who actually help. This is another interesting things what we have. If you click on the picture, we have a good specifically you got this watermelon. We celebrate Ukrainian victory, liberating Kherson. And I've been in 4 times in Kherson. I canoe almost like for 30 days every time on the train in Kherson. It's like a city I literally know well enough. So we have a lot of like pride and help Ukrainian as much as I can. I like that would definitely right things to do. This is like a lot of like if you scroll down, you can see my posters even before invasion says where I condemn was. This is Vladimir Zelensky. If you scroll a little bit up, I have. This is a letter that Vladimir Zelensky actually sent to me and thanked me for donation. And that would definitely something I've been so surprised with like option to select defend me. And that was one of he's great politician, president. He thank anybody who helped Ukraine. And that would definitely designate him on levels, and he got great support for every single state government, and in just Super Bowl he have a speech, and that would definitely extremely helpful. That was like I say, that a lot of things. This is my canoe sport, which is I have a lot of a national team canoeing with me when I was in 18, and literally that was my sport. I've been in canoeing in the national team, and a lot of Ukrainian was a really strong athlete compete with me neck to neck, and this is why I extremely respect them, and this is why I know that Ukrainian even back to 1980s, they really strong competitors. They going to defend they country as this little bit. So a little bit low. You have if you scroll down, there is some kind of couple specifically pictures, and I actually say
it's stuck. Actually, sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's stuck for some reason.
Right, it does. It's Facebook doing something. But what I try to say, even like on February and January, I put on Facebook says hands-on from Ukraine when Putin army circle with all this weaponry and all this tank around Ukraine. So I was posted a picture says hands-on from Ukraine. And it just that was a time when I realized it's going to be really serious. So anyway, that would, like I say, only what I probably suggest to have a particular just invite somebody like who stand on. We have Yuri, 2 Yuris in our team. They have Alona, she's local from Washington, D.C. Invite them and ask them what they do. It's definitely a good idea to invite somebody who's, like I say, I just watch a lot of YouTube videos. Some guys, 8, 10 years old, a little boy in Ukraine, sing song, collect money for Ukrainian armed forces, who just clean car, who wash windshield. For that, people have to. They're heroes. They're heroes, not me. I just do my best. But that support, and that have to be promoted. And that's what's more important than somebody just like try to just whatever. Any people really make differences, and that's what I want to say. That people who do everyday jobs, they extremely help Ukrainian inside Ukraine, in also in the United States.
We really appreciate everything you do, and whoever is close to your area, I don't know exactly, so maybe you want to say so people may connect, Ukrainian or whoever sees us. We're going to put some information under this video but I am just letting people know that your Facebook page, so some people can connect you if you don't mind.
Well, absolutely. I'm glad that somebody connect to me and reach. I open for any friends, especially Ukrainian people. I also want to. I mean, I hope it's people who activate initiate our Lend-Lease program. I hope sometime maybe ask too much to ask. Maybe Max Akova can accept my friendship. Sometimes it doesn't happen for last several weeks. And I'm glad to have somebody else like Yuri Tabak who instantly accept my friendship. So I definitely have to have if like somebody reached to me, I welcome. This is like our nature of United States people who open and welcome too many people. I mean, for friendship, for just share some principles, share some thoughts, and specifically fight for Ukrainian independence.
I think we will follow up also with Victoria Spartz. Is there anything else that I forgot to ask you, maybe?
Well, it's everything else pretty much what I want to say. And like I say, what my opinion, if this so-called, let's say, what my impression, how might be changed, okay? Let's like be living in I have dream. I have a dream. If, for example, one day all the Ukrainians so-called at 3 times White House is stand on Ukraine and demand a Lend-Lease. That will be day when actually Biden releases this Lend-Lease finally. And that was the only things I think if it's something that was another things. And we have like a really extremely large force, like people say, no more corruption money to Ukraine, release Lend-Lease is alternative, and every politician say we need to release Lend-Lease, and that would be the day when actually a release starts function. And that was my kind of perception. We have to have like almost like big wave coming on White House and literally swallowing whole will people and start them think and act, not like just be politician, not make speech, but they have to act, and that will be on some kind of like threat when they have to lose either like election or they have to lose their own presidency. And that have to, then Lend-Lease can start actively, and it will be no issue to start release and release all these weapons and delivery weapons to frontline.
I agree with you, and I like your solution. Circle 3 times.
3 times.
And so please follow our channel and advertisement. We're gonna release the date soon, and we will give more details. But I just wanted to stress on our peaceful rallies, nothing against the law, no violence. We really appreciate everything what United States Congress did for Ukrainian people, for all help. We really appreciate for everything on the political arena, but we also would like to ask Congress President Biden to activate Lend-Lease. Maybe he will listen to us and we will have everything for Ukraine for victory. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. We had Geirman Prostov with us, big patriot of this country and also patriot of Ukraine also, I would say. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, Bogdan, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. And like I say, I always I want to share my thoughts. And once again, it's extremely honor to have to speak with you guys. And again, Slava Ukraini, Герої Слава.
God bless America.